And on the phone with us tonight is lead singer of Berlin, the lovely Terri Nunn. I always feel like I'm on a game show or something when I do these introductions, you know. The minute I get off the air, it's, hey.
Joe Normal Guy?
Right, hey,
Yeah.
let me go back on the air again. Good morning, everyone. Who talks like that? Nobody.
The only one I know who talks like that is a DJ.
Yeah.
The only guy I know.
Live in this alternate reality. All
Did you
right.
grow up wanting to be a DJ?
Strangely, I did. You know, I was one of these people as a kid. You know what I used to do? It's so stupid, but I guess it's cute in a way. I used to take all my Sesame Street records and kids records,
Yeah.
and I would actually DJ them. I'd come on and go, well, we just heard Ernie with Rubber Ducky, and I'd record it on a little, dictation tape recorder, and then listen, and then force, my family to listen to it. You know?
I totally get that.
Yeah, listen to my show, you'll enjoy it. And they're
I
like,
totally
what?
get that. If I had no talent as a musician, which I knew was a possibility for sure, I wanted to be a DJ.
But you are doing some radio, aren't you?
I am, and I love it. It's not so much, now it's more for the communication. I like talk radio.
Yeah.
Because I like the conversation that is generated by talk radio, whatever the topic. I really enjoy the back and forth.
Well, you occasionally do Free FM out there, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did beginning of this year.
You know, I want to begin the interview proper
Yes.
by saying that I have been seeing you a lot on YouTube. Are you aware that nearly everything you do, every gig you have, someone with a phone, with a camera is in the audience, and there's these 20-second snippets?
I have heard this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is so amazing what you can see on YouTube now. I've seen stuff that I never saw in the day, like in the very beginning, because we didn't even have VCRs when we started as a band, and I'm seeing stuff that people have archived, so they have copies of some of these shows that we did a zillion years ago, and I get to finally see them, like what happened, and YouTube is. What a phenomenon. It's truly brilliant.
But apart from that, I'm going to say the obvious. This is what everybody says when they talk to you. You look fantastic.
Thanks.
But you're also singing fantastic, too. And, you've always been a great singer, but now you're like a genius or something. I saw you, there's a clip of you on YouTube with Camp Freddy.
Yeah.
And you're doing Highway to Hell by AC/DC, right? And you're tearing it up.
Oh, thank you. I was terrified.
Doesn't seem like it at all.
Well, it was suggested by at the time. It was Jerry Cantrell and I usually do an Alice in Chains song called "Man in the Box" with them. Mm-hmm. And that day he said, "I don't want to do it." He said we got Slash coming up. Let's do something easy that he'll know and we can all play it together. Let's do AC/DC.
Right.
My stomach just basically dropped out of my body because these are the best in the world. These guys live, breathe, eat. They get paid $1 zillion a year to do this kind of music for a living. This is what they do. It's Dave Navarro and Chris Chaney and Stephen Perkins and Matt Sorum and Billy Morrison. These are all from Jane's Addiction and Guns N' Roses and The Cult. And these guys are they're the best in the world. And so you want to do an AC/DC song? Or what song? He said, what do you know? I said, well, I enjoy Highway to Hell, Back in Black. He said, all right, let's do Highway to Hell tonight. You got to bring it. You got to bring it right now, and it's got to be great.
Well,
so I really appreciate your review because that was a stretch for me. I've never done a song like that with that kind of band in my life.
But you seemed like a natural. You're really screaming it out there at the end. And you know what, though? This is something I noticed about the current lineup of Berlin.
Yeah.
Is that you can recreate or certainly do things in the style of your early synth-based sound,
mm-hmm.
but you can also thrash it out, too, like on the cover of the Dope Show that you did on the Foreplay record.
Yep.
Was that something you were looking to sort of expand the sound a bit and maybe get a little more rocky?
I looked to do that actually on the third record, way back in, the third record we released in 1987. And we went so far, we hired producer Bob Ezrin, who did Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Sure.
And, I mean, he's gone on to do, Jane's Addiction, all that. He was pretty heavy. But I feel that my decision to do that was a mistake. At the time, I was taking Berlin too far away from what it is. And it really helped to break up the band because John and I, we were partners in the band for 13 years. He wanted to keep it the way it was. And I overruled him. I felt that we should try new things, and now I feel that I had a point that we shouldn't just keep rehashing the first record forever, but he had a point too. A band like Depeche Mode has progressed, but they've also never forgotten why people like them, and they keep kind of keeping their sound, yet adding things and breaking into new directions with that sound.
Right.
Which is, they are a textbook example of a success in a band that's kept going and going and going. So now, from that bad, the lesson of my band falling apart, I've learned that we could do a song like Dope Show, but it has to be Berlin's version. It has to be electronic. It can be hard. You can put in more guitars, but don't lose what Berlin is. And people will be able to enjoy it. They'll be able to grasp it, and they won't go, well, why? What the hell is this?
Right.
Was that very long-winded?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The thing that's weird about the breakup of what I guess I'll call Berlin Mach 1 in 1987 is that it did come on the heels, though, of your biggest success, which I think a lot of people find strange, because you would think that after Take My Breath Away became such a massive worldwide hit, that things would have gotten easier for you.
It kind of added more pressure to the cooker, because the cooker was already starting to explode, and the direction we all wanted to go in was so disparate that we couldn't agree on anything, and finally we couldn't even talk to each other. The last tour, we didn't speak. It was just a matter of getting through it. And then Take My Breath Away on top of that, which I and the record company pushed through. I loved romance. I loved the idea of doing a song like that to the love scene of a movie. It was like, wow, this is cool. John hated it. We didn't write it. He didn't want to do a song that we had never written ourselves. He didn't feel it was Berlin at all. So that pissed him off even more, and we did it anyway. Then it became the biggest hit we ever had, so now he has to play it every show, and it's the reason people want to hear us. Right. And that's all they can talk about, because they don't even, back down in there were parts of the world that couldn't give a crap about Berlin before that. So when we got there, it's like, we love your song, Take My Breath Away, which, that didn't go over well with John. Because it's like, well, wait a minute, we have a career of many albums and lots of great songs that I wrote that, I feel a lot more ego-driven to push. And, I mean, at this point, even he says he should never have taken that tack because he was 20 and he wanted, he had a big ego. We all did.
Right.
But it was another nail in the coffin of us not agreeing where Berlin should go and what we should do.
Right.
So that's why it fell apart, with that being, one of the prime thorns in the side of Joan Crawford, who started the band.
Right. But I should mention that, nowadays that's kind of water under the bridge. I mean, you did reunite for that special show a few years ago.
Yeah.
So everything's kind of cool now, right?
It's great now. That show changed my life. It came along at a time when I hadn't spoken to John in 7 years, and so much had happened. He had kids, I had kids, we had families. Berlin had done very well in that time. For me, I was still making music, I was still touring it, and you forget all of the crap that you go through with a partner when you realize, my God, it's because of John that my child has a college education. in the
Right.
works, and that I have a career because he helped to build this career for me. And I would love to thank him. And we're not even talking.
Right.
So that's where I was when this show came along from VH1, Bands Reunited, and when they contacted me about it and talked to me about it, I said, well, I don't think John will do it. So it turned out that he did do it, and when I walked in with cameras up my butt and up my
Right.
nose and all around me, I actually walked past him because he didn't look the same.
Right.
He was in the room, and I walked by him, and he, from behind, said, Terri, it's me, it's John. And I turned around. He opened his arms. I completely lost it and fell into his arms, and it was the beginning of our relationship starting again and our communication
Right.
starting again, which I don't know if it ever would have happened, David, without
Right.
that show. So it changed our lives.
And I should also mention that he's also doing music too as a contemporary Christian artist now.
He is,
Yeah.
which is completely out of left field.
Right. Right.
Gotta say.
Hey, listen. You know. Hey, wait. You know, if you can do Highway to Hell, you know.